Okay, we are back with another episode of It's a TRANSworld podcast. Super excited to be here. We have a very special and handsome guy on tonight, Mr. Jordan Alexander. I'm your host, Raquel, and there's no place I'd rather be than right here with you telling our stories. Malik?
All right. Hey, welcome, Jordan. Welcome. So we like to give shout out to all people that's in our community doing great things. Today I'll be giving a great big shout out to Sebastian Smith. He is the head of the I Am Human Foundation now. As you know, your dad, Alex Santiago, stepped down, and now Sebastian is at the head of the organization. And as you know, Sebastian is a pioneer in our community and all over the world. He has flown everywhere, all the way to Mexico, doing the work for the people. So today, I would like to give kudos to Sebastian Smith. I also would like to talk about what's going on around the world today. And O'Shea Sibley. I'm sure you're aware of the senseless murder where he was just voguing. He was a professional dancer, voguing, minding his business, and was stabbed to death. And so I just want to say his name. It's all over the news. Senseless, another just senseless murder that our community has to deal with. And so here on It's a World TRANSworld podcast, we just want to call his name, O'Shea Sibley.
O'Shea.
O'Shea.
Oh yeah, it's always sad to hear that simply because we're being ourselves, our lives are being taken. Very unfortunate. We need to keep his family uplifted in prayer, as well as his friends, his family and his friends. But before we get started, Mr. Jordan Alexander, I want you to introduce yourself, tell the people who you are, what makes you so special.
What makes me so special? That's the loaded part. My given name is Alex Alberry, aka Jordan Alexander. I am a member of the LGBTQIA plus community. I identify as a trans man, and my pronouns are he, him, and his. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm originally from the Bronx, New York. So if you ever ask me where I am from, I will always say New York. Where I live is Atlanta, and I don't know any New Yorker to tell you anything different. What makes me special? Honestly, I tell people all the time, it's really nothing too special about me. Like, I'm just doing me and being me. But I think that is exactly what makes me special. That I'm okay with just doing me and being me, and I've learned to be okay with it. And I identify myself in every aspect of my life as a servant leader. So I'm always looking for ways to help my community, help whatever team it is that I'm on, so that we all make it to the next level at our appointed time.
Awesome. And so professional too. Oh, professional. Cool. But before we get started, Jordan, we like to tell our audience that we lead with love, and this is a safe place for us. We'll have lots of conversations around love, mental health, physical health, support, community. And we love for us to share topics, real topics about what's going on in our communities with coming from real people, right? People with the experience. Today, we're going to talk about your personal and social experiences. And we also want to talk about your sexual desires and your sexual preferences. Again, it's a topic that people ask all the time, but a lot of times they're asking people that aren't educated enough to really explain it. So I think it's important for us to have very open dialogue here on It's the TRANSworld podcast. So jump in wherever you feel like. We're going to ask you some questions. No pressure, of course, but
Okay.
Just jump in with that topic.
Okay. The first thing I'll say is I think that the first thing was being able to identify who I was.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I? What is it that I need? What is it that I want? I didn't start my social transition until I want to say maybe 2019. And so I am right now 37, and so that's kind of late in life. I knew for a long time that I didn't identify as the young lady that I grew up as, and that I needed to make some changes. But I didn't grow up in a space where, the trans community was something that I saw or experienced a whole lot of. And so after moving to Atlanta and being here for a couple of years, I was introduced to the pageant community. And these are all new people. And we didn't have, I'm sure that there were those people and those groups in New York. I just wasn't exposed to them. And so little did I know I had been sheltered, but not intentionally. Uh, and so being able to be around a community of people that said, while I may look one way on the outside, this is how I identify. These are the pronouns that I expect for you to use. It was funny because in pageantry, most masculine of center lesbians are called, he, him, because in pageantry they compete as male illusionists. And so as people started to refer to me that way, I was, they see me? Oh, okay, all right, I can get with this. Um, but I also needed to check in with myself. Is this transition something that I wanted to do for me? Or was it me just riding the wave of the people that I was currently hanging out with? So I took a lot of time to really reflect on where I was going, what I was doing, the people that I was hanging out with. Being in this community, I found something that I was looking for that I didn't know that I was looking for, which was a sense of community, a sense of family, and a sense of healthy affirmation. It's okay to be who it is that you need to be, and then grow from there.
Yeah.
Because I travel a lot for work, as I started my transition, most people didn't notice. I'm out in the community every now and then, but, when I'm there, I'm usually quiet. I'm the guy in the back, I'm not, doing a whole lot. But people started to notice a change in me, and what's going on? Oh, nothing. I'm just doing me, just being me. And so it wasn't until recently I came out to an event and they're like, "Oh, there's a little facial hair there. Wait a second, what's going on?" They were like, "You kind of slow walked us into that." Yeah, yeah. It was like, you kind of slow walked us into that, and I'm like, I was never the type of person that was going to announce everything that I was doing because it was me and what I. And so to be able to come out and just be like, "Oh, that's Alex," or "That's Jordan," whatever name people knew me by, but for them to have the same respect for me, the same love for me, it really kind of started in that area.
So socially, it sounds like your experiences were very easy compared to some of the stories that we've heard. Um, did you have any adversities?
So I tell people I now recognize that I lived somewhat of a privileged life, period. I never wanted or needed for anything. My mom was a single mom for most of my life, but she always made sure that I had everything that I absolutely needed and as much of what I wanted as she could get to. Um, because of that, I'm pretty easygoing. Like I don't expect a whole lot from a lot of people. And so even in my transition, I've experienced a whole lot of privilege. There hasn't been a whole lot of adversity for me, even through my job. I'm also very intentional. So what I do is I think about what the possible adversity is going to be. So in my job, I work for the same company I've been at for 10 years. When I knew that I was going to transition, one of the things that I thought about was if they're going to let me go, they're going to have a darn good reason to do it. And so I do stellar work at work on purpose because on paper, in action, in conversation, everybody who knows me at work says, "Hey, that's a hardworking person. That is a dedicated person. That is a loyal person." So no matter what pronouns it is that I tell you I use or how I tell you I identify, if you're going to fire me, just understand me and affirmative action going to be on the steps in a couple of days because you're going to have a good reason for letting me go. So, at work, it wasn't too big of a deal. With my friends, I've always just kind of been like, I'm that low key, I'm respectful, I'm humble. Anybody who knows me knows, hey, if you need something, you can call Jordan. And if he's got it, he's going to give it to you. And if he doesn't have it, he's going to try and help you find it. So there's not too many people who can say, man, I got a bone to pick. And so because of that, as I came out, in my transition, it was just like, oh, that's the same person. He's still gonna see about you the same way he always
Yeah. We had a guest earlier this week who talked about privilege. And I guess I don't think about it much, but I've been very privileged as a lesbian. I've been able to walk into rooms without it being an issue. I've always looked like a girl, I've always act like a girl, but I never had to deal with my mom or my family not loving me or treating me different. It was okay. Um, in corporate America, when I was the only Black person, it was okay. Even in my political career as a commissioner, sitting on different boards for the state, it hasn't been an issue. So I've also been able to walk in privilege. And I know some of us don't have that. And I think it's why it's so important for us to stand up for each other, especially those of us who walk in privilege. We have to ring the bell for our brothers and sisters because some of the adversities they go through is scary, especially within their own families, with their parents. It always amazes me when people tell me stories about their mom put them out. And I'm like, oh my God, wow.
Exactly.
So it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to walk in privilege. And because we walk in privilege, we need to be held accountable too. We need
And
to be
those
held accountable.
situations are the situations that have created
Mhm.
houses because, the houses create love. The houses create safe havens. And so all around the world, you have these houses, these gay and lesbian houses, where they were created because of being put out from your family or being ostracized or, just thrown away. It was either that or 9 times out of 10, they were committing suicide. And so these houses, they came about from those situations. Love. I mean, I have my own house, the House of Santiago, and it's just about covering each other and just love. So
Yeah. I think it's important that we lead with love. And I think about, being in a relationship with a trans man and still living a very privileged life because he was very masculine, very much so. No one knew that he was trans. So we lived a heterosexual life and we weren't hiding. We weren't hiding. If you saw our friends, you kind of would wonder, like, oh gosh, they have a lot of, but we lived a very privileged life. And I know a lot of times, especially when you're in corporate America, when you get to walk into a room with your person and they look like society wants them to look, you just fly under the radar. And when people find out, they don't know what to say to you. They don't want to say nothing either because they're afraid of how you're going to respond. But even in my relationship with a trans man, it was very privileged. It was just a man and a woman. That's it. No in between. Um, I want to move forward a little bit because I love having these sexual conversations. I enjoy them immensely. So I want to talk about as a trans man, like what are your sexual desires? Because we've talked to trans men who only date cisgendered gay men. We've talked to trans men who uh, sleep and date trans men. We talk to trans men that only date women. We talk to trans men that have trans women as partners. So where do you fit in that box? Or not even a box, because it's not a box really. Where do you fit and what do you desire as a trans man?
It's so funny because I tell people I like to think of it as like a big Venn diagram, and there's all of these overlapping circles. Because one day it might be this, and the next day it might be that. And I tell people all the time, I'm always super hesitant to label myself
Mm-hmm.
because I think that sexual orientation is super fluid, right? And so I am a hugely understanding person when it comes to that. So I feel like if I had to pick a label, I'd be on like the Wayne Brady train at this point. I'm pansexual. What's your vibe? Like, do our vibes mesh with each other? And I'll be honest, that came over time. That came with maturity. Because when I was living life as a masculine ascendant lesbian, I was masculine ascendant and a lesbian because that's what I was supposed to be. Because I didn't wear girl clothes, and so everybody is so, oh, well, you're the man in the relationship. Like, well, yeah, I want to be like, how do we work that out? Like, what does that look like? Um, and now here we are, and like I said, growing up not having a whole lot of trans people around me, I had some of those horrible broad generalizations about some trans people, and especially about trans women. I remember having a conversation with one of my friends at a younger age. Oh, would you ever date a trans woman? No, I would never do that. Well, why not? And I said, silly of me, in my naivete at the time, I was like, because I could just imagine we would get into an argument, and then she would talk to me in her real voice. Oh, now I think back to that, and I'm like, oh God, oh, I can't believe I said that. Oh, that was horrible. That was trashy. It was, oh my goodness. But like I said, in my naivete, right, not knowing anybody in this group of people, not understanding what that transition looks like, what acceptance and affirmation looks like for them. Um, and so as I grew into myself, as I grew into a more mature person, a more humble person, understanding other people, it's been a lot easier for me to move romantic. If I'm interested in you, I'm interested in. Uh, I was in my first relationship with a trans woman in 2019, and that relationship lasted for about a year. And when I tell you, that was the most seen that I ever felt. Like, she was just, hey, you tell me who you are, and that's who you are. And so we actually kind of had this running joke between us, because it was before I actually started my transition. And so I would joke, I'd be like, I want to be a real boy. You can be a real boy. What do you need? And she was just on board. She was going to support me. If I would have told her that I needed the sun, the stars, and the moon, she was going to figure out a way to make it happen. And
That's
like,
dope.
everything was going to be okay.
That's dope.
So in that relationship, I was like, man, I said some really foolish things, right? And now here I am experiencing this person who is allowing me to be every bit of myself every single day and show up in a real way.
That's growth.
Oh, thank goodness.
I was like you though. I mean, I never thought that I would date a trans woman, and I love my big juicy baby to death. Like, I'm telling you, like, when we first had our sexual encounter, I went home and tried to wash her off me. Like,
Mm,
I just never thought. And now look now, like, I don't even see life without her now. Like, I love her.
that's awesome.
And
That's awesome.
yeah, so I get it. And it's growth. And I used to be like that. I used to think like, no, like, nah. I used to be judgmental about
Mhm.
being a trans man. Now look at me now. Like, I came into myself, and now I have a better understanding, but it's all in growth.
Yeah. And I think that's really the beginning of it, being able to come into yourself and be completely honest about who you are, what you desire in a partner, and what that looks like for you. Like, what do you want your relationship dynamic to be? Because it doesn't have to be based on what everybody else says that it's supposed to look
Correct. That's right.
I think like I've been with a trans man. I've been with obviously cisgender women because I identify as lesbian. I've been with men. I think I'm not gonna tell you my age. Because I'm quite sure I'm older than you. I'm probably older than you too, Malik. Um, but I don't know if I even have a preference anymore, which is weird because yeah, I had to mature a little bit to say that, hey, I think, it's just a matter of, can you love me how I need to be loved? Can you give me the things that I need? And can you love me in totality? right? My stubbornness, my moodiness, my whininess sometimes, all the things that make up who I am. Can you love all those things and love them in totality? Love me when I'm whining. Love me when I'm moody, not just when I'm nice, not just when I'm buying you things. So I think at my age, I don't know if I have a preference anymore, to be honest. I have no idea. I don't know.
And that's because love is love. And, you know, the way I found out, you can't help who you love.
Yeah. And I don't want to at this point. Like,
Me
man,
neither.
love me? Yeah, bring it in. Come on, give me a hug. Absolutely. Yeah. But and also being able to tell people that, right? Like the other thing that came about for me was being able to acknowledge the love that I have for my friends and being able to tell them so. Because
Right.
one of the things that I realized, even, in just community, is we're so hesitant to tell each other we love each other because there's so much weight on that word. We're like, what does that mean? What does that look like? And I tell people all the time, hey, I love you, bro. I love you, sis, because I love you. I love things about you. I love the person that you are. I love how you show up for me. I love how you allow me to show up for you, being who it is that I am. Like I tell my friends, I'm sometime, right? You might call me one day and I'm not answer. We won't talk for 2 or 3 weeks, but the next time we link up, it's like we never missed a beat. And if you can
Yep.
let me do that, oh, it's all love. We're good.
So let me ask you this. Is there anybody like off limits?
Can't say that there is. And not because I've experienced everybody, but because I'm at a point in my life where I know what I desire. I desire partnership. And if you can bring to the table the things that I need and desire in my partnership, then who am I to discount you?
Right.
I can't say, like, I'm a God-fearing man. And what I'm not going to do is turn away the blessing because it's not in the package that I thought it was going to come. Whoa.
I like Raquel.
Yes. Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, because it's not, in the pretty Christmas paper. I don't want that person, right? If this is the person that he sent for me, if this is the person who, matches my drive, who matches my ambition, and matches the goals, the long-term goals that I have for myself, even the short-term goals.
Gotcha.
If this is the person who can support me through all of those things and is going to allow me to support them, who am I to say, oh, well, you're not right because the wrapping paper on the outside isn't what I expected it to be?
That's a word. That's a word all in itself. So before we wrap up, I want you to, if you could leave people with anything, if you could give any advice, any words of encouragement, what would you tell people that are transitioning, that are trying to figure out love, that are trying to determine where they fit in this rainbow? What would you tell them?
I would tell them to quietly and confidently find your safe space. Identify those people and those places in your life who are going to allow you to be 100% who you are, no matter what that looks like.
Yeah.
Allow them to support you through good, bad, and ugly, because that is exactly what they are there for. I tell people all the time, I think we kind of get caught up in saying, hey, we shouldn't use people. I think that's exactly what we're supposed to do. We have strengths and opportunities that we have to leverage with each other. And I want you to use me. That's why I have these gifts. It's up to me to make sure that you don't abuse me and, dry me out. I have to make sure that I am setting boundaries appropriately. So just make sure that you identify those people and those places in your life that are going to allow you to use them, to use their resources, to introduce you to new things that help you figure out who it is that you desire, and make sure that you do that on your own terms. Don't let anybody else define.
That's dope. That's dope. Amazing. So we hate for these conversations to end, but man, Jordan, Alexander, we thank you so much for hanging out with us and sharing with us your personal experiences and how to navigate in this world that is so cruel, not just us, but to anybody can get it, especially persons of color. And we add another stigma when we tell them that we're a part of this amazing, beautiful rainbow. So thank you so much, my love, for joining us. We've had fun talking with you. I'm going to let Malik talk a little bit about community partners, sponsorship before we wrap up the show tonight.
Hey, here at It's a TRANSworld podcast, we are creating a space, a safe space for our transgender brothers and sisters and non-binary partners. We would love to advertise your business on It's a TRANSworld podcast. We're also looking for community partners and sponsors. For more information, please reach out to myself or Raquel, that's Raquel. Also follow us on IG at RAQULRT3. Also at TRANSworld ATL. Please subscribe to our YouTube at Dreamcatchers Production. You can follow me at One Gorgeous Boy Church Boy. One Gorgeous Boy _ Church.
Yeah. So, man, it's always a good time at the cookout. And we like to call this the cookout because when we get together as Black folk, we gather, we eat, we have a good time. But until next time, we want to leave you with this. It's a TRANSworld podcast. It's to educate those about trans experiences as well as non-binary experiences and to highlight the importance of equality. We are all human. We're all human, and we want to explore our diverse experiences, challenges and triumphs within our community. We love doing what we do. We love telling real stories by real people. I'm your host, Raquel, and until next time, man, know that we love you, and remember that it's a TRANSworld podcast. It's all about love. Love is love. Have a good night. Until next time, we will be back with you with another super cool guest. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Joya.